I think it's fair to say that in 10 years' time we will have services that we can't think of today. Because 10 years ago we couldn't think of the services we have today, and I think the speed of innovation is much more rapid today.
We spoke with consumers in Italy, the UK, France, and Germany, and we asked them about their concern about privacy and their understanding of both how search engines work, but also ancillary services like free email through Gmail, the rest. Generally, people feel very strongly about privacy. Just like a lot of the other surveys that have been done, we found that 97% of those polled, again in the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Italy, believe the government has a strong role to play in protecting consumer privacy. About 9 out of 10 respondents supported a series of policy prescriptions on data protection that were very specific, and all of them scored extremely high, 9 out of 10 supporting them. 3 out of 4 respondents in our market believe that government regulators must ensure a strong alternative to Google, and 2 out of 3 believe that Google has too much power and influence. Again, not surprising given how big Google has become and generally how important privacy is to people. What we found is most people just don't get it. We offered people a very simple choice. It was not a trick question. The question was, you have a choice between 2 statements. One is, search is free, and the other choice was, search is not free because you have to see ads. And nearly half of the people still said search is free, even though they were given a more sophisticated, some would say, cynical answer. Typically, you would see people picking the more complicated answer, but still half of people really honestly believe it's free. There's a fundamental misunderstanding of the market. Nearly half of people polled did not understand that these free services really aren't free, that they're driven by your data. When we educated people about this concept that you share personal data information about you, the advertisers use that information to send you ads when you're using these services, 95% of people basically understood the concept, so they were somewhat familiar with it, and about half of people were concerned with it. I'm sorry, were very concerned with it. So when you educate people, still about half of them remain very concerned. The interesting thing is, there's a big change in attitudes as you move from basic search to ancillary services. So if you're a regulator, you need to keep that in mind. People seem to get this notion of basic search, but when you ask them whether they're aware of the fact that their emails are scanned, or their calendar is scanned, or if they use Google Desktop or Google Spreadsheets, a copy of that document is kept on Google servers in Mountain View, California, then their anxiety rises dramatically. When you get to more complicated concepts, the anxiety rises further. There's a program that's called Google Desktop Search, which integrates searches on your hard drive with searches on the web, and you can create enable that to search more than one computer. Let's say you have your work computer, you have your home computer, and then you have your kid's computer that you occasionally use when you're in the basement, for example. You can enable Google to search across all those computers when you're doing a search. The problem with that, or the implication of that search, is every document on all those hard drives gets sent to Google.
I'm kind of interested in where the internet advertising industry is going to take us. In a way, the phenomenon has happened so quickly that we've got to jump starts and conclusions. And I wanted to begin by making an observation that historically, every element of our economy and our society reaches a point where there is an acceptance that there is a way of doing things. There is a certain approach that must be taken because that is the accepted social contract. I think the internet's advertising has got away with murder over the last few years, partly because of the speed of its implementation, but partly because the social contract was not in place, so that the world had certain expectations of how those companies behaved.
We've seen a couple of initiatives, for example, on social networking, where users suddenly understood you know, the value of their personal data and the risks they may be exposed to that they don't like, or services that they may not like. But on the whole, I think people are sort of blissfully unaware of what is being done with their data. They think the internet is a big black hole, and you put your data in it and then they disappear, and nobody will ever have access to it anymore, which is of course not the case. And they're only just slowly waking up to the fact that whatever they send out there is of great interest and economic value to others.